ดีครับขอต้อนรับทุกท่านเข้าสู่การบรรยายสรุปข้อมูลของบริษัท TPIPL จำกัดมหาชนนะครับผู้ร่วมบรรยายข้อมูลในวันนี้นะครับ Miss Maria Brenda Sanchez Lapis นะครับเป็น VP ทางด้าน Corporate Relation นะครับแล้วก็ผมนะครับประเสริฐอิทธิเมคินรองผู้การใหญ่อาวุโสสายบัญชีการเงินนะครับการบรรยายข้อมูลสู่วันนี้เนี่ยจะแบ่งเป็น4ส่วนโดยคุณมาเรียจะเป็นผู้บรรยายทั้งหมดส่วนผมเนี่ยจะร่วมตอบคำถามกับคุณมาเรียนะครับงั้นขอเชิญคุณมาเรียเลยนะครับ
Okay. Good morning, everyone, and thank you again for joining us in this full year presentation of our performance. For the first time, I'm putting a disclaimer on this presentation material because we will provide a forward-looking statement in a form of guidance for the operating outlook of 2023. We divide the topics into four: overview, financial performance, guidance and outlook, as well as sustainability and other matters. So this is our corporate structure. Not much has changed. As you can see, in terms of sales, it is still the construction material group that is most important. But in terms of EBITDA generation, at least for 2022, it is the specialty polymers and chemicals accounting for 48%. This is EBITDA is a better indicator of our cash flow generation. Power, as you know, had a lot of changes in terms of price agreements, and so it is now accounting for 29% of our EBITDA, whereas the largest sector, which is construction, is only 22% of our EBITDA. These are our assets. I would like to go through this again because I think many people have forgotten how diversified TPIPL has become over the years. I would just like to highlight to you larger parts of our asset base. One is the cement. We are the third largest manufacturer if you count the total capacity, both domestic and overseas. But if you only focus on the domestic market, we are the second largest manufacturer with an installed capacity of 13.5 million tons per year. Our plant is very new, as you know, it came in mid-1990s compared to that of our competitors, which came about in 1940 and in 1970. Because of the relative new plant, we have an unmatchable cost advantage. We pioneered the green cement. A lot of people talk about that now. They call it hybrid cement, but for us, we call it hydraulic. And this is a very green product simply because it has a lower clinker content. A second building material where we are dominant is the mortar, whereby we have 3 million tons capacity. We lead the market on this particular product because we have a lot of variety of products under this segment. We are in the ready-mix as well, but we are the third largest player. And in the concrete roof, we are among, I think we are the second, and we have fiber cement and we have paints. Our paints in particular has been subject to innovation. So we are the only producer that have these paints that has almost odorless and very fast drying. So application is very easy. In the second segment is the specialty polymer. As you know, we started in the petrochemical business of like 40 over years ago, but over the years we become specialized and we have this HVA product we call the EVA. We have 158,000 tons capacity. This is not the largest in the world, but it is not the smallest either. So we are in the mid-range. We also have nitrate, ammonium nitrate, and nitric acid. Ammonium nitrate is used for mining. It's a blasting material, and we are the only one in Thailand that produces this product. We have solar sheets with 20 K-ton capacity, and this is sold under Polin Solar, and this is sold mostly in Europe. And then we have agricultural products, bioorganics. And also the last one is the energy, which you know very well. We started with waste heat back in mid 2000, and then now we are the largest in the MSW with 180 megawatt capacity. We are the largest privately owned MSW power producer in Asia and possibly the world. Equivalent to us, 180 megawatt. There are provinces in China that has that kind of capacity, but they are owned by the local government. In our pipeline, we have 220 megawatts of coal-fired power plant, and we are improving. We are doing improvement on that one, and the objective is to become 100% MSW driven by 2025 or 2026. So 2026, we will be zero coal on our power plant side, right? And for those analysts that is looking at our doing assumptions, we would like you to refocus away from RDF to MSW. RDF for us now is just an integral process of converting MSW into power. So we talk about MSW, no more RDF. So this is us. You can see we started in chemical, and then we diversified into cement in the 90s, and then we went into renewable energy in the 2000s. And from our cement portfolio, we have these paints, we have concrete roof, tiles, and fiber cement. And then for our renewable, this allowed us to go into agriculture here, because when we handle the waste, we create a byproduct which are biocompounds, and we process them into fertilizers, soil enhancers, and other useful compounds for agriculture, and including animal and livestock. We have a very strong innovative culture in the company, not well appreciated by the market, and so we would like to highlight the many firsts that we have here in Thailand. Like, for example, we are the first importer cement. We are the most diversified. We have hydraulic cement that other people call hybrid cement. And we are the first and only stucco wall producer. This is for walling, still based on the cement as the raw material. And I mentioned to you our plant is quite new, right? The other feature on our plant is that it is very close to our quarry. So what we have is that our quarry is linked to our production facility with a conveyor belt. We are the only one of that kind here in Asia, and very few in the world. And because of the conveyor belt, we can save about 3 million liters of diesel per year. And the conveyor belt, the whole thing produces 1 million kilowatt hour of electricity. How electricity come by from this one is that when the stones roll from the mountain, it generates potential energy as it rolls down, and that is the one that we harness and make and use it to run the conveyor belt. It's the only conveyor belt of such kind here in Asia that actually generates its own electricity to move the power. We are, of course, the first power plant that uses the zero waste policy. Everything we put in with our municipalities comes out and is pumped into other production, other products. We use MSW, and we have the first waste to energy SPP with about 10 megawatt capacity. In our construction material, we are the first one and the only producer that uses fly ash into our cement process. Where does our fly ash come from? It comes from burning part of the municipal waste. So that fly ash, instead of going to the environment, is pumped into the cement production, and thereby reducing the clinker, the element of clinker in that. We also have a fire-resistant fiber cement. We are the first producer of this product. And how is this useful now? Now, if you look at the real estate development of this country, you would see that a lot of projects were completed in the 90s. And these buildings are old. You can already track this with, like, for example, last year we had a couple of fire happening in Sampeng area. Well, if you get a fire-resistant fiber cement, this can help retard and minimize the occurrences of fire breakout. And then we are the first and only furniture board and door frame producer in Thailand that uses fiber cement. In our agriculture and healthcare division, we have this Bionox, which is a very high alkaline powder drink that can help stunt the growth and propagation of viruses. You would see this as a new trend. I think Oishi just recently launched a high alkaline drink. This is a new trend, and it is to boost immunity among people. And we also have a probiotic under the brand of Provita. What is different with our probiotic is because we have developed in-house an encapsulation technology, probiotic microencapsulation technology, PFT for short. This is under a lot of R&D right now in the probiotic space. But what it does to our product is it increases the lifespan of the product to up to 4 months at room temperature. Now, if you are a yogurt consumer or a probiotic consumer, you know that the shelf life of this product is very short by nature. So innovation creates competitive moats and allow us to produce better than peers margin. Is this true? Then you can see in our next here, this is our performance. In the construction materials, for example, in terms of averages, our EBITDA margin is at about 12.8%, simple average for a year, compared to the number one player, which is Siam Cement, at 8.4%, and the second player at 16.8%. But take a look, on the fourth quarter, Siam Cement's EBITDA margin on the construction material is only 4%. Siam City, 7%, whereas for us, it's 8.7%. Now we move on to petrochemical. Our EBITDA margin was 38%, simple average for last year. But take a look at the fourth quarter. Siam Cement's EBITDA margin operating only for the chemical division was -3%. For PDD GC is 9%. For Eastern Polymer Group in the equivalent quarter is 20%. We are 28%. So our performance shows, our EBITDA margin shows that indeed we have high value added products in our portfolio. And that is because of our strong innovation culture inside the company. Now let's take a look at the corporate as a whole and how did we do last year. In terms of revenues, all three, Siam Cement, Siam City, and TPIPL registered growth, but our growth is highest at 23.5%, whereas the lowest is the player number one. In terms of EBITDA margin, we beat the others by a wide gap. We have 26% compared to the first player at 11% and second player at 18%. Did we grow our EBITDA? Yes, we grow about 5%, whereas our competitors actually had a contraction in the EBITDA. In terms of reported profit, we have a growth of 24% for the year, and our margin is at 14% compared to our peers, which was 3% and 4% respectively. So all of these are just evidences of what is differentiating in the product portfolio that we have. And I would like to highlight one whereby it is very, very clear that our HVA is really high value added. Take a look at the polymer spread. If you are an LDPE, HDPE, your spread would be just less than 100% higher than your cost. But for us, our spread is nearly 1,000% higher. Even when the whole cycle went down in the third quarter to fourth quarter of this year, our spread is still far superior than the LDPE and HDPE. This is an evidence of real high value added product in the portfolio. So briefly on the financials, you can see our revenue growth of 24%. And then you can see that in the weak fourth quarter, we still managed to grow our revenue by 1%. Now look at the common size, and this will explain to you why the profitability is lower than it should. Okay, first of all, our net profit grew by 24%, but this growth came about when you look at our cost of goods sold. You see, it's accounting for 73% of 2022, whereas in 2021 it was 68%. This is a market, this is commonly known. The energy cost was higher and such. Had it been the same ratio as last year, then our profit growth would have been far higher than 24%. EBITDA, same thing, influenced by the cost structure, we managed to grow around 6%. Now, in terms of segment breakdown, you can see the strongest growth came from construction materials and the polymer, 36% for construction materials and 34% for polymers. Energy and utilities were down 11%, but this is only 17% of our total sales. In terms of EBITDA, the best growth was in construction materials, actually, and also in specialty polymer. Now, there was a softening of the construction material segment in Thailand starting the end of in third quarter, around the monsoon season, when we had so much rain. But then, even then, you can still see our profitability growing 60%. Why? We increased our price to make up for the higher energy cost, but more importantly, we gained a lot of profit coming from our cost efficiency programs and plant improvements that has been rolled over for the last 2 years now. So for the whole year, we achieved 13.4 billion EBITDA, which is pretty close to the guidance that we provided from the beginning of the year, which was 14 to 15 billion. In terms of assets, you will see that construction material grow by 10% and energy and utilities up by 8%, right? And this is because these two divisions are the focus of our plant improvement and cost efficiency programs. This will continue. Whereas look at our specialty polymer, the asset actually came down in 2022. So this is just another graphic show of what is going on with us in the fourth quarter specifically. In terms of growth, construction material grow 21%. And in terms of EBITDA in fourth quarter, the improvement was 72%. But 72% looks very aggressive number. The reason for this is that last year, our EBITDA was quite depressed. In terms of margin, the EBITDA of the construction material was only 9%. For the polymer, it was 28%. For the energy is 43%. This is our longer-term track record on EBITDA margin. You can see our construction materials remain very volatile, but even so, you will see that we are hitting a slightly higher range now than we used to. Our specialty polymer, take a look at the way the margin is evolving. It's hitting new highs as well. While the third quarter looks almost the same as some parts of 2019, generally this is very high. And you can actually match this growth trajectory to what is going on with the petrochemical spread on the EVA segment. Energy and utilities, you can see margin going down. This should be in the forecast already because this decline in margin is coming from the changes in the power purchase agreement. In 2022, two of our projects lost or expired, has seen expiry of the other. That's why we have a lower margin. Overall, the group is, the margin profile is improving and we think we can maintain this trajectory. Our financial position. This is quite important to consider. If you recall in the previous slide, I showed that our net debt to EBITDA is 4.5, whereas the net debt to EBITDA of Cement was 4.2. We are on par with that largest player. Now, our gross debt at the end of the year was 71 billion, but our net debt is about 60 billion. Why the things to explain is that one is that our cash buffer is very high. If you look at our cash to sales ratio, it's 24%. If you run a benchmark with other operations, the more reasonable level is 5 to 7% of sales. This is 11 billion baht in cash position. Why do we do that? Because we are quite concerned about the liquidity conditions in 2023. So this is a very defensive positioning for our management to take, and it can change very easily as the conditions is. We can easily reduce our cash balance to suit the conditions. Yeah. The second thing is that our inventory is very high. It's about 155 days. This is total. It includes other receivables and other payables. Inside this inventory, typically when inventory is high, it's not a good indicator of the future. However, I would like you to look at the breakdown of the inventory, and you will find that the largest part of our inventory is work in process, and the second largest is the spare parts and machinery related inventories. Now, work process is actually a good thing for us, especially that we are looking and expecting for the prices to improve in the 2023. That inventory can easily unwind itself. However, for the spare parts and the machine related inventory, that is a function of our capex. As you know, we are still continuing our improvement, plant improvement programs and cost efficiency. So guidance and outlook. We expect increased real estate development on the back of, at the very least, improving tourism. And tourism has a lot of backward linkages in the construction activity, especially in the building of commercial complexes, resorts and hotels and other infrastructure related, right? And we also expect some money pumped into the economy via construction sector linked to the election spending. There will be continued price adjustment to recoup the higher energy costs and another round of FT adjustment that will increase the electricity costs for construction manufacturers. If you notice, I didn't mention this because this is not about them, but both Siam Cement and Siam CG's construction material business lost money in the fourth quarter, whereas for us, we made a little profit. And that will compel them to adjust prices going forward. And it's a good time. Typically, if you're a construction material, you tend to lock in your supply agreement with the contractors. And last year, a lot of the demand for cement particularly was tied to the government-related infrastructure project, whereby pricing is not very flexible. So it's not easy for the cement manufacturers to change the price if your customer is, at the end of the day, the government. Now, higher FT, this is a thing to remember for the analyst. Higher FT will raise our production costs on the cement. But at the group level, it will be offset by our TPIPL in power. Last year, I think if I remember correctly, TPIPL in power, sales of power to TPIPL was only 16% of total. So we tend to benefit if the FT is increased on the group basis, although on the cement side, it will probably manifest as a higher cost. Okay. We expect a rebound in the construction materials and energy, as I mentioned earlier, because of the completion of the cost efficiency and improvement projects. We are done with the MSW up until TG7. We only have TG8 remaining, and even in the TG8, we have 6 phases there. 1 and 2 are already 1, 2, and 3 are already complete. Now, specialty polymer is the one that you would see in the spread that I showed you earlier, right? That it dropped significantly starting the end of the third quarter up until the fourth quarter. Now, there is a debate on what is the outlook of the EVA going forward. For us, we just take a conservative position and say our spread is going to be $1,000 per ton. Whereas last year we were about 1,600 and the year before we were about 1,300. But I'm telling you now that the industry assessment is that there's going to be a major rebound in the EVA prices on the back of improved production of solar panels and also increased production of electric vehicle. Application of EVA in the electric vehicle is in the adhesive, and we call it hot mills in our portfolio. So actually we think that on our forecast, we are on the conservative side, but that's fine. It will constitute as a potential upside on our EBITDA. Now, are you talking about recession in this year in Thailand or globally? Maybe. And if that is the case, then we should be expecting fiscal stimulus to come in to combat the pressures on recession. So in any case, it's still positive on the construction materials. Now, for the first time, we give you guidance because we want you to look at us again and take a look at what we've got in our portfolio. So these are our guidance for the year. And if you want details, I think this is enough for forecast purposes already. Now take a look. In 2022, the power utilization rate was only 52%. And that is because of the disruption in the power activity because of the plant improvement. Now we are expecting it to go up to 62%. 10 basis points it's a very small incremental. So if we do it right, there's a chance that we can beat. Now, our specialty chemicals was 91% utilized last year. This year we go for 84. That is because our IRPC is going to a maintenance shutdown, and our operation as an extension of IRPC will also be affected. Our cement, we are conservatively assuming just one percentage improvement in the utilization rate. So these are the volumes that we are looking, and you can track us on a quarterly basis on this one. And these are the spreads that we are using in our internal forecast. You can see on the power side, we are only talking about 3.79. If there is another FT adjustment, this will be a higher number. And this is our exchange rate. Now, what is the implication of these numbers? Here is what we are looking for in terms of EBITDA. A dramatic surge in EBITDA on construction materials, and also a significant increase in the power. And these two increases will offset the decline in specialty chemicals, as we assume that spread will only be $1,000 per ton. But look at our financial position. Okay, you take a look at our free cash flow. We are about 18% FFO to net debt, and this is quite good. We can service our loans just using our internal cash flow. Our EBITDA interest ratio is very high, very comfortable, even with our conservative EBITDA assumption. Okay, where else can we make headway in terms of operating ratios? You remember that the construction material is the largest asset base for us, and this one, the asset turnover is very low. It's only 0.25. Well, what is the standard? We do not know, but we know that in the specialty chemical, we can make the asset work harder and generate over one times of the as in terms of sales. So we cannot expect the construction materials to get up to 1.35 asset turnover, but definitely if we can improve this, it will flow directly to our cash flow and to our profit, because the operating leverage of this division is very high, and all the costs, the fixed cost already calculated into existing performance. So this is one of the potential source of upside to our forecast. It's a management issue that we can work on, definitely. And so that is just in addition to our specialty polymer surprise on the positive side. Now, another division that could probably bring us a little bit more mileage in terms of cash flow and profit is the agriculture. You know, we handle a lot of waste, something like 7,000 tons per day, and we only sell a very small amount of the bioorganic compounds that we generate from that. So there is scalability in this particular division, and it's not as acid heavy as construction materials. So this is an area where we can also grow significantly. For CapEx, we are budgeting 7.7 billion this year and 4.4 next year. The reason why I put next year is because I wanted you to see that we are gonna go off CapEx by 2024. So this would be the last high CapEx for us, and our ROCE is 29%. It's too high. Yes, I accept that, but this is also because most of our plant improvements and efficiency schemes are tied to raw materials that has high cost, like coal, for example. We will replace coal with MSW, and the cost of MSW is cheaper than coal. Things like that. This is unique to us. Definitely, when you look at an ROC of 29%, it's just like, wow, it's too good to be true. But in our case, it's true. Look, as I mentioned earlier, then when you look at the prices of construction material and you focus on the construction material price index, you will see coming down. I said, oh, bad day for cement. But no, the reason for the decline here is coming from steel. Actually, for the cement is still quite high. And I said earlier that we expect the prices to go up because the other cement producers are losing money on their cement product portfolio. Now, is there really confidence on the real estate development, particularly for the residential? Yes, you can see that in the UTCC Consumer Confidence Index. The idea of buying a house, it has been a rising trend since literally third quarter last year. And you can see we already beat the high of 2021. This is a more upbeat outlook. Globally, cement demand is projected to grow at 5.1% per annum between 2022 and 2027. And please remember that we are a big exporter of clinker, around about 3 million tons per year. Yeah, same thing. In Asia Pacific now is the fastest growing source of demand for cement. And in Asia Pacific, you would also see that non-residential is a very big part of the demand. This is infrastructure related. So the demand characteristic of cement in Asia Pacific is more reliable than elsewhere because it's not residential. Residential is a function of disposable income and consumer confidence. Global power, yeah, the FT trajectory is still gonna continue to go higher. You can see that it's almost, we have already breached the last high, and this will be the case going forward. What are the projects that we have? We are done with phase 1 and phase 2 of the coal replacement, and we will finish the third phase in May. And what is left is 4 to 6. So this completion will mean improvement of our EBITDA. We also have a couple of MSW power that are about to be signed and to be rolled out. And we are installing a solar farm in Saraburi and a wind farm also. Probably this is more of a pilot case, but the investment cost is not significant on the wind. And the annual revenue based on projection is 400 from the solar power and 20 from the wind farm. And then we are also increasing our alternative fuel sale to TPIPL, increasing MSW, and this will generate additional revenue of 400 million baht. The polymers, we are moving towards higher value add. As you can see, in 2022, the low end, which is LDPE around here, is only 9%, and the HBA is 86%. This year, it will probably be in a higher ratio because we are doing a lot of things to increase or expand our HBA portfolio. Where will the growth coming from? Apart from the expansion in HBA, it's also in the improvement on our utilization rate. we actually stand very well on this one. If you notice other petrochemical companies, they are actually running at around what, 70% utilization rate right now. But for us, we are, this year, we're gonna hit 100%. It's a very unusual, but the reason for this is because of our HVA. HVA for us, this one is a ZV1055. This is a high-speed hot melt with a melting point of 800. This is very good. This is fast melting plastic with very low viscosity and good for kind of plastic that you need when you want it lightweight and you want it very strong. So very few companies in the world can produce high-speed hot melt at this level of melting index. And this, according to our petrochemical division, this is 10% premium over normal hot melt. And then we have piloted a reactor that can process at 3,000 bar in terms of pressure. So if we conclude that one, it would allow us to diversify into even higher value added EVA. You can see here, this is what we are aiming for. We are not going to grow into 1 million tonnage, but what we want to do is go higher and higher so we can insulate our EBITDA generating capability. Right, okay. Here, take a look at this one. This is the spread trajectory, and you will see this replicated in our EBITDA margin as well. But look, there is a change in the composition of the demand for EVA, whereas previously foam, which is used for manufacturing activities, is the biggest ratio. Growth and the ratio is shifting towards two product groups. One is PV, this is solar production, and the other one is cable and adhesive. This is the one where you need a very, very fast melting polymer with a very high tensile strength. So this is now the growth driver of EVA, no more manufacturing. But because this is still in the transition phase, you would see that when manufacturing slowed down in third quarter, the EVAs was also affected. Yeah, this is just the same story. You can see the trajectory is changing. Look at LDPE. This is gonna be where it's gonna be for a long time because a lot of capacity is coming here. But this is us, the yellow and the green line. Sustainability, you have seen this before, right? We are 100% utilizing, and these are our sustainability merits in 2022. We continue to get better and better relative to our target, and our net zero GHG on the construction materials is still 2026, although the overall portfolio will probably go net zero by 2030. And then these are our citations for the things that we do. And that, okay, one last, this is still ongoing. We already filed a petition, appeal to the Supreme Court. But please remember that in this case, we have option. Either we return the limestone or pay the fine. That's the end of my presentation, and Conpreserve will go to Q&A.
Okay. Thank you, Mary. ต่อไปนะครับมีเวลาอีกไม่มากก็มีช่วงคำถามนะฮะในไตรมาส 4ราคาปูนเนี่ยปรับได้ขึ้นกี่บาทต่อตันนะครับเมื่อเทียบกับไตรมาส 3นะครับราคาปูนเนี่ยปรับขึ้นได้ประมาณสัก300 กว่าบาทนะฮะ Q4 เมื่อเทียบกับ Q3 นะครับที่ทางราคาปูนเป็นยังไงก็เชื่อว่าอย่างที่คุณมาเรียพรีเซนต์ไปนะครับหลายบริษัทก็ยังตัวเลขไม่ดีเพราะว่าต้นทุนพลังงานสูงขึ้นเพราะฉะนั้นราคาที่ทางราคาปูนเนี่ยก็คงจะต้องปรับขึ้นอย่างต่อเนื่องไปนะครับในช่วงมกราเนี่ยราคาถ่านหินก็มีลงมานิดหน่อยนะครับก็อาจจะเป็นประโยชน์กับทางผู้ผลิตปูนซีเมนต์แต่ว่าอย่างไรก็ตามเราเชื่อว่าราคาปูนซีเมนต์เนี่ยจะปรับขึ้นประมาณไม่ต่ำกว่า300 บาทต่อตันนะครับปริมาณขายปูนโดยรวมในปี 65ทำได้กี่ตันนะครับประมาณ 11.5 ล้านตันนะครับแล้วก็เราส่งออกประมาณ3 ล้านตันนะครับเรามีสต็อกถ่านหินเหลือเท่าไหร่นะฮะตอนนี้เรามีสต็อกถ่านหินอยู่ประมาณ 470,000 ตันนะครับเป็นของโพลีนประมาณ 370,000 แล้ว Power เนี่ย 120,000 ฮะต้นทุนก็ประมาณ 4,000 ระดับ 4,000 4,200 4,300 นะครับอยู่แถวๆนี้คำถามว่าปัจจุบันโพลีนใช้ RDF คงจะหมายถึง MSW Fields นะกี่เปอร์เซ็นต์ในการผลิตคลิงเกอร์นะครับเราตั้งเป้าไว้ว่าจะใช้ MSW Field ในการทดแทนถ่านหินเนี่ยประมาณ 20-25% นะครับปัจจุบันนี้เราก็ได้ประมาณ 20% อยู่แล้วนะครับแนวโน้มธุรกิจปิโตรเคมีในงวดไตรมาส 1ของปีนี้จะเป็นอย่างไรเพราะราคา VA ในประเทศจีนลงค่อนข้างรวดเร็วมากนะครับอย่างที่คุณมาเรียพูดไปนะฮะเราก็มองว่าสเปรดของ EVA เนี่ยเราไม่น่าจะต่ำกว่า 1,100 เหรียญต่อตันนะครับเพราะฉะนั้นยังคงดีอยู่นะครับในปี 66 เนี่ยเราก็ยังเกินเป้าหมายที่เราตั้งไว้คำถามต่อไปขอทราบสเปรดของ EVA เฉลี่ยในไตรมาส 4แล้วก็ในเดือนมกราคมกุมภาพันธ์นะครับในไตรมาส 4เนี่ยถ้าจำไม่ผิดเรามีสเปรดประมาณปีที่แล้วทั้งปีเนี่ยประมาณ 1,800 นะครับแต่ว่าในไตรมาส 4นะจะอยู่ที่ประมาณ 1,600 เหรียญนะครับต่อตันนะครับในปีนี้เราก็มองว่าไม่ต่ำกว่า 1,100 นะเรามองสเปรดด้วยหลักระมัดระวังนะครับคำถามต่อไปค่าเสื่อมราคาปีนี้ฮะ2566จะเพิ่มขึ้นจากปีของ2565เท่าใดนะฮะในปี65เนี่ยถ้าผมจำไม่ผิดเรามีค่าเสื่อมอยู่ประมาณ 3,200 ล้านนะครับค่าเสื่อมก็คงไม่ได้เพิ่มมากเพราะว่าโปรเจกต์ที่ลงทุนเนี่ยก็หลายโปรเจกต์ก็ยังทยอยดำเนินการยังไม่ได้ปิดโปรเจกต์นะฮะมีส่วนที่เสร็จก็ไม่ได้เป็นลงทุนจำนวนมากเพราะฉะนั้นค่าเสื่อมก็คงจะอยู่ในระดับนี้นะครับอยากทราบ CapEx ของปี 23-24 นะตะกี้คุณมาเรียก็โชว์แล้ว 7,700 กับ 4,400 แต่ว่าจริงๆตัวเลขที่เรา revise เนี่ยคือ 6,900 กับ 4,000 นะครับปีทั้งกลุ่มเนี่ยปี 23 เนี่ยจะ 6,900 แล้วก็ปี 24 เนี่ยจะประมาณ 4,000 นะครับจะเป็นของส่วนใหญ่เป็นของ Power นะครับของโพลีนก็ปีนี้ประมาณ 500-600 ล้านนะครับส่วนที่เหลือก็ประมาณ 6,000 เป็นของ Powerอันนี้ไม่ทราบเป็นคำถามหรือเปล่า Specialty Polymer Chemical Division was the star EBITDA generator in 2022 with margin hitting close to 40%. Can you explain what are the products in these categories? ก็เราขาย product ที่มี margin สูงเป็นหลักนะครับ90%กว่าคือ EVA นะครับ You want to add something on this, Maria?
Yes, the EVA product range, the content is the differentiating factor. EVA range could be from 0 to 40%, and the higher the content of the VA, the higher is the price. We are at the high side of that, and our application is solar and also for cables. That is why we have higher margin. If you compare us with other EVA manufacturers that are of 18% content, our spread is 2 times higher.
ครับต่อไปข้อ 14 นะฮะคือบอกว่า U rate ใน presentation หน้า 16 84% แต่ในหน้า 26 100% ทำไมแตกต่างกันผมเชื่อว่าอย่างนี้นะฮะเราคงจะขายเราผลิตและขายเนี่ยประมาณ 150,000 ตันนะครับต่อปีแคปซี่เรา 158,000 ตันเพราะฉะนั้นก็อยู่ในระดับนี้นะครับคดีฟ้องในปัจจุบันมีโอกาสเกิดค่าเสียหายเกิน500 ล้านหรือไม่อันนี้ก็ตะกี้ที่คุณมาเรียก็อัปเดตไปนะครับคดีเนี้ยมันเป็นคดีที่ศาลสั่งว่าให้กรณีที่แพ้คดีนะครับถึงศาลที่เป็นที่สิ้นสุดแล้วเนี่ยก็คือชำระค่าปรับหรือไปถมนะครับซึ่งถ้าไปถมเนี่ยก็จะถูกกว่าไปชำระค่าปรับนะเราก็เชื่อว่าอาจจะเพียงแค่ 10% อย่างนี้เป็นต้นนะครับของมูลค่าที่จะต้องชำระเพราะฉะนั้นอย่างไรก็ตามเราได้อุทธรณ์ไปที่ฎีกาแล้วก็ทุกคดีเนี่ยศาลฎีกาก็รับคำขออนุญาตฎีกาไว้เรียบร้อยแล้วนะครับ อันนี้ก็เป็นคำถามทั้งหมดอันนี้ภาพโดยรวมนะฮะ directions ผมขอสรุปนิดนึงก็คือว่าทิศทางของกลุ่มเนี่ยก็คือการลดต้นทุนนะครับแล้วก็พร้อมกับลดมลภาวะโดยการนำMSW fuels ไปใช้แทนโรงไฟฟ้าถ่านหินของทางด้าน TPIPL Power ทั้ง TG7 นะครับแล้วก็ TG8 นะครับTG7 เนี่ยก็ส่วนใหญ่ก็เสร็จไปบอยเลอร์หนึ่งแล้วอีกตัวหนึ่งเสร็จเมษายนนี้ TG8 ก็จะเสร็จเดือนออกัสนะครับปี24แล้วก็อีกตัวต่อไปก็บวกไป4เดือนแล้วก็อีก4เดือนนะครับในส่วนของฝั่งโพลินเองก็จะเอา MSW fuel เนี่ยมาทดแทนถ่านหินในการผลิตคลิงเกอร์ในการผลิตปูนซีเมนต์เพราะฉะนั้นก็จะมีคอสนะครับทิศทางอีกตัวหนึ่งที่ชัดเจนก็คือว่าเราใช้พยายามจะใช้เช่นรถยนต์ที่มาทดแทนรถดีเซลเป็นรถไฟฟ้าในเมืองก็จะมี cost saving ปีหนึ่งประมาณ300 ล้านนะครับ CDE plant อย่างนี้เป็นต้นแล้วก็สามารถนำวัสดุมาคัดแล้วก็มาผลิตเป็นปูนซีเมนต์ได้มากขึ้นนะครับอันนี้ก็เป็นคร่าวๆนะครับของ TPIPL
Can I add one thing?
Yeah,อันนี้
Yes, I just clarify one thing. In the assumption, we said 84% utilization rate, but in this picture, it says 100. This does not include the shutdown because of the shutdown at the IRPCs. This is just on an operating basis. So because of the shutdown, we will be 84% utilized.
ครับอันนี้อยากจะพูดตรงนี้เพิ่มนิดเดียวนะฮะคือในส่วนของ power เนี่ยก็จะมีนักวิเคราะห์หลายคนบอก adder หมดไปเนี่ยจะทำให้ EBITDA ของฝั่งโรงไฟฟ้าเนี่ยลงหรือเปล่านะครับจะตอบว่าอย่างนี้นะครับตรง adder ที่หมดไปเนี่ยEBITDA ก็จะหายไปส่วนหนึ่งนะครับอาจจะประมาณ1,000 ไปปลาย 2,000 ล้านแต่ว่าผลกระทบจาก FT ที่ขึ้นเนี่ยบาทกว่าเนี่ยเราผลิตไฟจำหน่ายเนี่ยให้ทั้งฝั่งโพลีนอีแกตเนี่ย FT ที่ขึ้นเราได้ประโยชน์ทั้ง2ฝั่งนะครับแล้วก็เราขายไฟฟ้าปีหนึ่งเนี่ยประมาณ1,500 ถึง 2,000 ล้านหน่วยนะครับเพราะฉะนั้นผลกระทบจากทาง FT ที่ขึ้นเนี่ยจะทำให้เรามีbetter off ประมาณ 3,000 กว่าล้านนะครับและก็จะมากขึ้นเรื่อยๆเมื่อเราใช้ยูเรทที่มากขึ้นอันนี้ก็จะทำให้ฝั่ง power เนี่ย EBITDA เนี่ยก็ไม่คิดว่าจะลงก็จะ maintain อยู่ในระดับ 5,000 ล้านบวกขึ้นไปครับเราก็มองว่าโดยรวมนะ EBITDA ของกลุ่มก็จะยังอยู่ในระดับเดียวกับปีนี้นะครับถึงแม้ว่าพลาสติกจะลงแต่ว่าในส่วนฝั่งซีเมนต์และฝั่ง power ที่มี cost saving ราคาปูนซีเมนต์ที่ปรับขึ้นแล้วก็ราคาค่าไฟที่มี FT สูงขึ้นก็จะทำให้ net ของกลุ่มเนี่ย maintain EBITDA อยู่ในระดับเดียวกับปีปัจจุบันปี2565ที่ผ่านมาหรือมากกว่าอันนี้ประมาณนี้ครับก็ต้องขอบคุณเวลาหมดแล้วนะฮะขอบคุณท่านนักลงทุนทุกท่านที่ให้ความสนใจในข้อมูลของบริษัท TPIPL นะครับแล้วก็เราพบกันใหม่ในผลประกอบการไตรมาส 1ของปี2566ครับขอบคุณมากครับ